Hello everyone, and welcome to the 8 Days of Christmas series. For the next 8 days I will be filming some Christmas related video, and today we have some of the DIY gifts that I've been making this year. First off is a really simple candle. What you'll need is a glass container. I went for this bowl from the dollar store. I was going for a wide top look so that I could put 3 wicks in the candle. I got two packs of white taper candles, also from the dollar store, and some essential oils. I used eucalyptus, Christmas tree, and pine. I started by very carefully cutting the candles. This helps melt the wax faster, and I also wanted to remove the wick so that I could reuse them in this project. I also found that snapping the wax allowed me to just pull off the wax from the wick. The base was always the most difficult part to get off, so if you are using a knife, I would just advise you to be careful and be aware of where your fingers are. So after I did that for all 4 of the candles, I went ahead and put a pot of hot water on high, and then I put a glass bowl on top to create a double boiler, and then I just put the candle bits inside that glass bowl. For the wick, you can just purchase a wick online or at a craft store, but I like to reuse as much as possible. So I took the wick bases from an old candle and I removed the last bit of wick that was stuck in the base with a pair of needle nose pliers, and then I went ahead and threaded the new wick into the base and then clamped it with some pliers. I then hot glued the bases to the bottom of the glass bowl. And I wrap the top of the wick to a skewer so that they will stay in place when I pour the wax. Once the wax is fully melted, I added the essential oils. I did about 10 drops of each oil, but after the candle dried, the scent was not very strong, so I would suggest more drops. And then I very carefully poured the wax into my glass bowl. I had some eucalyptus, so I just cut off some leaves and put those into the candle wax before it fully dried. And then once it was dried, I cut the wicks to the proper length. And this is the final product. I also weaved a holder for the candle as well, but that is not necessary. The next DIY is a shower steamer. Not everyone takes a bath, but mostly everyone takes a shower, and these are a super easy DIY. I adapted a recipe from Everything Pretty, and I'll link that down below. I started by mixing 1 3/4 cup baking soda and a 1/2 cup corn starch with my hands and bringing up the large chunks to make a fine powder. Then I added 40 drops, or 1 tablespoon, of Lavender Essential Oil and some witch hazel. The recipe I followed calls for 4 tablespoons of water, but witch hazel has a lot of health benefits, including relieving inflammation, fighting acne, and protecting against skin damage, and works just the same as water. This part of the mixing process has to be eyeballed. You want the mixture to hold together by itself, but you don't want it to be too wet or too dry. Once it reaches that point, tightly pack the mixture into your mold and leave it overnight. I found that putting the mold into the freezer for a couple of hours solidified the cubes better than just air drying. It is a trial and error with how much liquid you put in. You can then put the cubes into any jar. I found these at a thrift store and decorated them with a little festive bow on top. Next, I was inspired by hand and nail salve I saw at World Market, but I didn't want to spend the $8 when I knew I could make it at home for a lot cheaper. I used 0.3 ounces of jojoba oil, 0.75 ounces of coconut oil, 3.5 ounces of extra virgin olive oil infused with 30 drops of peppermint essential oil, 2 ounces of beeswax, and some 2-ounce containers. The first thing to do is melt the wax in a makeshift double boiler. Once the wax is completely melted, you can go ahead and combine the rest of the ingredients and allow those to melt, stirring occasionally. This next part is super messy, so make sure to lay down newspaper under your containers. Once everything is melted, pour the mixture evenly amongst the containers. Wax is really difficult to get off once dried, so make sure to wipe any surfaces and the bowl right away, but be careful since it will be hot. I suggest using a paper towel instead of a wet rag. Allow the small containers to air dry. I made these labels on Word and used a glue stick to adhere them to the lid. I absolutely love this present, and the salve makes my hands feel moisturized every time I use it. And for the last DIY, it is this super sweet, super simple candy cane mouse. So what you'll need is some red and green felt, a ruler, a marker, a hot glue gun, some mini flat-backed googly eyes that are 4 millimeters in size, and some mini red pom-poms. I have a template on my blog and it is linked below, but essentially for the body of the mouse, you will cut the green felt into a teardrop shape. It will be roughly 5.5 inches long and 2 3/4 inch at the widest width. I then glued the nose and the eyes on, so I knew approximately where to make the 2 cuts for the ears. You want to make sure that the slits for the ears are not too close together because the candy cane is going to sit between the ears and the body of the mouse, and so you don't want the candy cane to peek through. And then I am making a cut at the bottom of the mouse for the candy cane. The slits will be approximately 1 inch long. You don't want them to be too long, otherwise you won't get the crinkly effect in the ears. The ears are going to be an ellipse shape that is 4 3/4 inch long and 2 inches wide. I just eyeballed the roundness, and then you can insert the ears into the ear slits and the candy cane through the bottom. I am showing that I used the side that I traced, and you can see the marker, so be sure to flip the body over before gluing the eyes and the nose on. And there you have it. It is a super simple candy cane mouse. That is all I have for this video, so stay tuned tomorrow for day 2 of my 8 days of Christmas, where I will be talking about sustainable wrapping. Thank you so much for watching and have a good rest of your day.